So when my name is mentioned in rooms, I want people to remember not just one thing, I want people to remember two things. First things first, I would say impact. And the next thing is money.
I think I would want it to stand for consistency queen, because I have been very consistent with my business.
I want people to think and to know that Lolu is someone who brings women to the table. I haven't just said it, I've walked the walk, and I think it's very important. And I think that, I would also like for people to know or to think, someone that really brings immense value.
I think I'm constantly unlearning. I feel like in life, you have to unlearn different things at different stages, because something that applied maybe 5 years ago would definitely not apply today in terms of growth and where I am.
I remember when I went through stuff like business-wise, I think maybe 2 years ago, and it was a very, very difficult time. So I found myself just hiding and just being scared. Like I was scared to post anything on social media. I was scared to go for speaking engagements. I was just generally scared because you're just feeling like you're scared, like you're feeling like a failure. You've not even failed yet, but you're so scared of the of failing that you tend not to move. So you're constantly in a state of paralysis. So I think I had to unlearn that fear of failure, because people fail. Like I read about different leaders, I read about how they came back. I also knew people personally, interviewed them, understood how they were able to overcome certain things and just be, confident that even when they fail, they know that they can still come back up.
Great leadership and building success through great leadership is not a certain personality. It is not a certain outlook. It is not a certain way even of speaking. It's being human. It's being, it's being empathetic, right? And it's walking the walk as well. You can't be a great leader and not actually do what you're telling other people to do.
Has leadership hardened me? Oh yes. I'm a natural softie. Like I'm like butter, right? But when you go through gbasgbos in life, you realize that when everybody comes with their problem, you don't have to be the one to solve everything.
I don't know if I would use the word hardened. I think that's the conflict here. I don't know if I would use that word. Does it change your mindset? 100%. Does it make you view life differently? 100%. But I wouldn't say it hardened me or my personality, no.
Am I harder now than I was when I was a little bit more junior, or even in my leadership days, but maybe a few years ago? Yes, absolutely. Much, much, much harder now. Do I blame leadership? No. Do I blame business and the business environment and the things you go through and the things you see and the things you learn, the reality of what, building success and, the reality of the environment that we're in? Yes, absolutely. It does harden you.
Before I was a mom, I could decide anything at any time, but the moment you become a mom, you have to consider a lot of things. And I feel like because I became a mom so early on in life, I was 26, I went from being this young millennial who had no issues and no responsibilities to being a mom and having responsibilities when a lot of my friends were not moms.
I think that I've been very consistent, since I was a child, at least from the time I recall, maybe secondary school. I think that I've been fair in my decision making, and I think that that still stands now. I don't think that motherhood has made me change the way I make decisions, but I think it's made me more patient, and it's made me know that, people grow and you can actually teach people things even when they don't know, as long as they're willing to learn.
The one thing I tell anybody who's going to partner with me, employ me, hire my company, is that my family will always come first. It's non-negotiable. It's not even a real topic for me. That's my first calling, to be a great mother, to my children, and to be a great family woman. So I will always put them first. How does it affect my decision making? It does. It means that sometimes I can't show up, and I'm proud of that. I don't hide it. Sometimes I'm not going to show up because my kids need me. I encourage other women as well to, if they feel the same way, not to be ashamed and not to be in a workplace that makes you have to. You shouldn't be in an environment that makes you have to choose between two things: no one should make you choose between your life and your work, and nobody should make you choose between your family and your work.
Patience has helped me, knowing that even when I knock on doors and those doors don't open, I can keep knocking on them. And one day that door will open, and if that door doesn't open, I know that another door will open. So patience in just learning that, everything doesn't have to happen now. I mean, now kind of girl, but I know that some things take time and you just have to learn it. So yes, learning patience, in all ways, patience in knowing that, people are not perfect on day one. That has taught me that, and also learning that things also would not come immediately when I want it or at the time that I need it. But in terms of learning that God's time is the best, I think that has helped me. And I've learned that some things that I thought would happen to me on day one, they've actually happened in the year 3. So yeah, I would say patience has been very helpful on this journey. So just not getting frustrated when I don't have things when I want it.
There are certain decisions that I make now because I have kids, so I have a certain understanding of, for instance, women with kids. I think about maternity leave and I'm just like, we're in a country where maternity leave is 3 to 4 months, 3 months paid, and for the last month, if you choose to take the 4th month, is unpaid. I don't really think that's reasonable. I also think that women coming back to work and after 4 months, 3 to 4 months, and just going straight into work mode, you're working 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. I personally don't subscribe to that, and I don't practice that in the organization that I run. I also think that there's certain things to do with womanhood generally that I wish that more people practiced. There's something that I'm going to introduce in my workplace very soon, and it sounds maybe a little bit crazy, maybe some other people are doing it, I don't know, but I think that women should have 1 day work from home every single month during their period phase. So maybe the first week of their period, or their cycle, for instance, because some women go through a lot during that time. So those are some of the kind of decisions that I make because I'm a mother now. Secondly, I'm very empathetic to women that have kids and have to balance, your career, your ambition, or your family. And again, like I said before, don't be in an environment that makes you choose. I will never make anybody that, I work with or partner with have to choose.
I think the biggest mistake you can make in life or as a mom is thinking that you can manage both equal. It's not possible. And the moment we accept that, we will all have peace. Some days the business suffers, some days motherhood suffers, but something has to give. So it's very important to prioritize and be able to create a balance. And well, is there a balance? No, but as best as you can, try to manage both situations, but something will always have to give for the other one to thrive a little bit more. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
I think that I'm present at the times where, anytime I find myself anywhere. So if I'm with my kids, I tend to be present there. If I'm working, I tend to be present there. I don't think power is something that I chase, so I don't really care for being powerful, or I don't care to work in a way that, I'm showing that I'm powerful.
Power is, first of all, in your essence. I don't think that your presence in your family robs you of attaining power, whether at work or in your community or in a project. I don't think so.
If motherhood requires me more on a Monday, motherhood is going to get me more on a Monday. If on a Tuesday I can't do pick up because I have something important, then that's what's going to have to give. So it's a daily thing. There's no routine. There's no, okay, for 3 months I'm going to be a great mom, and then for 3 months I'm going to be a great, no, it's what requires you more at that time. There's no formula to it.
There are times where you think about it, but I don't give into the thought. I know that I have to work. I know that I have to earn a living. and I know that it's important because I've seen other instances or other women where they gave up their careers categorically for to bring up their children, which I'm not against if that's what you feel like you need, because different people have different traumas. There are different things that affect different people. Some people, I've heard people say, oh, my daddy was never around, my mom was never around, so me, once I start having children, I'm going to quit my job and be around. Everybody has different traumas. I don't have that trauma, right? So I don't operate like that. So I know I've had trauma of not having money and all of that. So I lean more into that. So I know that I have to work to earn a living. So I work with that. And that's how I'm wired. So I try to make sure that, I'm creating structures around the fact that I have to build my career and also build my children up at the same time. So that's what I tend towards. So everybody knows what works for them.
If you're not a stay-at-home mom, you are going to have to make sacrifice. There's no two ways about it. And your job is to explain to your kids, why these things are important. I do have a job. I require a job to provide for you. I require a job for my own peace of mind and sanity. I love what I do. It makes me extremely happy. I don't think I would thrive if I wasn't doing anything. I'm not that girl.
Managing being a CEO and being a mother, I think, is already quite tough. Especially sometimes it's a breeze and I'm just like, oh my God, I do this in my sleep, But sometimes it feels so tough. You have an extremely important project at work, that requires the sacrifice, because you will have times that you have to sacrifice your family time or whatever it is for a project that needs to be delivered, right? Because the company needs to succeed as well. But then your kids need you, they need your presence, it's a time where they need you. And that balance is tough. But what I find the toughest is when I'm completely depleted and I don't know if I can give so much at work and I don't know if I can give so much at home. And I'm kind of like stuck in this thing where I'm trying to be everything for everybody. But I myself don't even feel sufficient to even give anything. So I think that without pointing out any particular moment, I think those are the toughest moments.
I mean, I had my business before I had kids. By the time I had my first child, I had structure. My business was able to run a little bit more without me. I also worked until the end of my pregnancy. I don't think I left until I was 8 months and I was at work every day. But I think the hardest part is when they're understanding their emotions and understanding their surroundings. It gets to the point where you do have to sneak out of the house because they don't understand. I've researched this. Babies don't understand that you're coming back. So when you leave, they cry thinking it's forever. Their brain can't process anything more than that. So that period is always the hardest for me. I'm currently going through it again with my second child. So I sneak out of my house as an adult.
Have I ever felt guilty for wanting more? Yes, oh yes. Of course, you're trying to build that. Some people will be looking at you like, is it only you? Is it only you that will get it? Is it only you that get that? But yes, so sometimes you feel a certain level of guilt, but I know that there are other people who have achieved way more than I have. I don't even think I've scratched the surface. I don't even think I've become yet. I think I'm still on that journey. So yes, sometimes you feel guilty because there are times where maybe, for example, you have to be at, your child's maybe PTA, and at that point in time, you actually can't be there. At that point in time, you just feel, a certain level of guilt that, you're not present because you have, certain responsibilities at that point in time. But what I try to do, I try to explain to my children that, responsibility comes with, position. When you're trying to build, there are times where, sometimes you have to give up certain things, because of what you're trying to build. So what I try to do at that point in time is if I can't be present, for example, for my child's PTA because of a meeting or something else that I have to do, I will speak to the teacher after to make up for that time. And I also make up that time with my kids. So yes, so sometimes guilt comes in, but I just try to not feel too guilty and just make up for that time that I lost at the instance that it happened, and just make up for it at other times. So yeah, everything is about learning and learning. We've never been parents before, so this is our first time being a parent. So I try not to put too much pressure on myself and just try to be the best mom, I can be, and be the best boss I can also be at work. Yeah.
I mean, you always feel guilty. Mom guilt is actually a real thing. everything makes you feel guilty at this stage. I don't think it actually ever ends, because my first child is almost 7 and I still feel guilty for certain things, but it's part of life. It's unavoidable if you have a job.
Maybe before, but honestly speaking, I don't want to sound different to what you probably hear, but no, I don't feel guilty for wanting more. I don't feel guilty for being ambitious. You know, I think that my kids are going to be proud of me, you know, when they're older. I think that balance is possible. I think that having it all is possible. I said it years ago, and you know, a few people have pulled me up on it. I think it's possible. I don't think you can have it all at all times, but I think generally you can have it all. You can have a happy marriage if you want that, and still have kids that are, you know, that you're present for, and still have a great career, and still be ambitious, and, you know, still give back to the community, and still be a great daughter and a great friend. I do believe that. Can you do it everything very, very well on the same day and during the same periods? Probably not. No, I don't feel guilty at all about being ambitious. I want my kids to learn, you know, that it's okay to live in your purpose and to be on earth doing what God has put you on earth to do, and that there is no shame in that, and that you can have a family that is happy, supported, and loved, and still have your personal goal and your personal mission and your personal vision. And if I felt guilty, I would somehow project that. And if I project that, what am I teaching my sons? I'm teaching them that essentially they should strive to have women who are not ambitious or who are housewives. And there's nothing wrong with that if they want that. But that's not a message I need to deliver to them. I need to show them that it's okay to be whatever you want to be.
To be honest, I think that balance is a myth. I don't, like I said, I try to be present at the times where I need to. So I'll give a typical example. I slept extremely late last night, maybe 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And I knew that this morning I had to get up very, very early. I had a meeting on the mainland. From the mainland, on getting to this particular podcast, I had an issue with my tire. So I had an issue with the tire, so we had to get replacement tires on the way, which ate into my time that I had already carefully curated on my calendar. And I promised my kids that I'll do something with them at 4 o'clock. So in between all of my meetings and everything, because of this lapse or this change in timings, I probably may not be able to get to them at 4. So what I've been able to do to make sure that I don't disappoint them was, I said, you know what, I'll meet you at the venue. I called my house. I told my nanny, you know, pack up all of my stuff. So we have a paddle appointment at 4 o'clock. I said, pack up all my stuff. I'll meet you there. So even if I can't get there for 4 o'clock, I'll probably get there at 4:30, and we still have that time till 6. So they'll play by themselves with a coach till 4:30. They're meeting up with some of my friends, and then I'll meet them at 4:30, and then we're still happy, and then I take them to dinner after. So that's just the way to make sure that I balance things, and I also don't still miss out on work, and I still stay true to some of the commitments I've also made, you know, with other people during the day. So I don't think there's anything like balance, but just every day, just when you wake up, just try as much as possible to get as much done and be present for all of the commitments that you've had. And if you can't do everything that you wanted to do in the day, the next day is still there. Nothing is going to run. Nobody's going to die if you miss something in that day. So we just try to work our way, you know, every day and live day to day and not put too much pressure on yourself, because that's where problem comes.
I don't think balance is a thing. I mean, balance, yes, but can it be equal? No. Something has to give for something else to thrive. That's just the formula. That's just how it is. I don't think there's any one person that can sit here comfortably and say, yes, I have figured it out and I've balanced motherhood and my business perfectly. Some days you're going to have days where everything is on the same day and the scheduling is beyond your control and there's nothing you can do about that. How do you balance such a day? You're going to have to choose. Something has to be more important for that specific day. That doesn't mean that is what is more important to you in life. It's just what's more important on that day. So there's definitely no balance. It's just about how you make it work and balancing to the best of your ability.
Like I said, I just don't think you can feel like that all the time. Sometimes I really do feel balanced. I really feel like, goodness, I'm doing this thing really well. You know, I know how to kind of work my times. I know how to kind of work around things and make sure that, you know, we're really succeeding at work and we're, you know, smashing all the glass tables and we're doing really well. And I'm smashing it at home as well. You know, I've cooked down, I've done this, I've done that. I'm present for all their, you know, sports days and their French days and their blue days and all of the days that they have at school, you know. And I have seasons where I truly feel like you will have balance. And then there's seasons that you will be completely off balance, you know. So yeah, I think that maybe balance is a myth. Let me put it in general terms. Balance is a myth. To expect that all the time is being unrealistic, that, you know, forever and ever and all the time, you know, I'm going to have this perfect family life and I'm going to have this perfect work life and everything is going to make sense and it's going to feel smooth. Sometimes it feels smooth and I feel on top of the world, like I got this. And sometimes it feels rough. It feels super rough. It feels like, okay, what am I really doing? And can I actually do this?
In December, I had my Christmas campaign, which almost fell completely apart. And then I was finally able to get a date that worked for everybody. Now, unfortunately, my daughter had her gymnastics recital on that day. I couldn't be at both places at the same time. It was also during December, so traffic was insane. There was no way I was gonna make it and get back. It was also my biggest campaign at Ziva in terms of the people I worked with and stuff like that. So I couldn't sacrifice that. Now, to make it work, I FaceTimed, and I was on FaceTime in the middle of the shoot, watching the models with one eye, watching my daughter with one eye. I may have screamed more than the people even present, but she heard my voice through the FaceTime. She knew I was there and she understood. And I think it's just about setting expectations and managing expectations, because I explained to her that, look, I can't make it because I have this going on, but you will know that I'm here, right? Yeah, and all of us, the whole team, I even have it on my page, we all watched the recital, we're all shouting and clapping, but we weren't physically there. But luckily, thanks to technology, you can kind of make things work.
I tell people, this is your first time being a mom. As long as your kids are happy, there are times where your kids will always misbehave, right? Once you notice, like, there are times where your kids are misbehaving, it's all about the chemistry between you and your child. You sit with the child, understand the issues that are currently, you know, happening in your home. And if it's that you need to take some time off work to make sure that your kids are fine, for example, then you do that and then you go back to work. But once your children are fine, they're doing well in school, in terms of their behaviors, they're okay. It doesn't matter what any other person says.
Ooh, motherhood. It made me patient because, wow, I have a last born who tests my patience every day. I think he's the only one that makes me speechless. So naturally, I'm quite reserved in open spaces. But if you know me and if you get me started, especially in conversations that I feel some sort of way about, or conversations that are, you know, that are of interest to me, then you know that I don't really, I'm quite a lion. And I think the only person that can tame me, yeah, is my son. It's one of my sons. Yeah, so I think that motherhood has definitely taught me patience.
I don't think my natural state is a very patient one. So I would say that motherhood softened that side of me. But I've always been a softie in terms of like how I operate and how I deal with people. I've always been kind, but I think maybe 2021, I decided to be more intentional about being kind. So I've always, you know, had that side on lock.
Funny thing is, I don't really feel like I've changed that much. I don't feel like I've changed drastically. I do, like I said earlier, feel like I'm definitely more empathetic. My sister and I are 21 years apart, so I essentially grew up as an only child with the world revolving around me. But the moment you have kids, the world now revolves around your kids. It's no longer about you. You kind of have to give that up. So definitely more self-aware, more understanding of other people's situations and not being the center of everything.
You know, one thing that a lot of mothers don't talk about often, sleep. I don't remember my mom sleeping 8 hours ever in my life. And I remember she would be the last person to sleep. And mind you, she's mostly a housewife, and yeah, she's a lawyer, but really and truly she's a homebody. So it's not like she's out working late or anything like that. She would sleep the last and she would wake up really early, open everybody's door, prayer time. And I used to think, can't this woman just sleep? Why don't you just sleep? Because I wanted to sleep for long, and I was like, why won't this woman just sleep so that we can all get some sleep? And now that I'm a mother, I get it. You're always thinking, you're always like 10 steps ahead. And if I thought I was a strategist before, which I've always been, I think that my intuition is way sharper than it was before. I can strategize a decade in advance, and I can do it quite well, because as a mother, you're constantly thinking. You're thinking of danger ahead. You're thinking of, 5 different ways that this one little tiny meat pie scenario can go. There's a birthday tomorrow, and there are 20 things that's on your to-do list. And in those 20 things, you're thinking about 5 different ways to achieve them, and 5 other ways that it could go wrong, and what other backup plans you need for each of those things. I mean, motherhood does that. And, of course, that translates in business and in life as well. So yeah, my intuition and discernment.
I do remember what life was like before all of this, and life was fantastic. I had no problems. I had no responsibilities. I was solely my father's problem. I paid no bills. I woke up and I lived every single day carefree, and I missed that. Do you know what I mean? I genuinely missed that. I used to sleep really deep. I could sleep through a tornado, but the moment you have kids, every sound will wake you up because you panic and think, oh my God, something has happened. A pin can drop and you would wake up. So I would go back to enjoy 24 hours of peaceful, uninterrupted sleep with no responsibilities. Wow.
So when my kids ask me for things, I don't tell them yes all the time, even if I know that they need it at that point in time. So I just want them to know that, not everybody's going to say yes to you, in life. So I just try to make it a teachable moment for them so that they know. So sometimes I just have to harden myself and say, Ife, Bojukuro, they're not getting it now. So I would say in terms of that, because normally if I have it, I'll just give it without thinking of the impact, it can have on that child. Sometimes I didn't even realize that for a long time, because I've always had inverters. So we always have at least light, maybe not AC, but at least light in the house. And then one time the inverter went bad and the children realized, Mommy, I'm sweating. They didn't know what to do. We're confused. I'm like, I didn't realize that I'd be spoiling the kids. So I make sure sometimes I'll even put off the inverter so that they'll know that, yes, some people don't have lights in their houses. Sometimes I even threaten my kids that you gotta sell gala outside, so that you know that it's important to make your own money and all that. So sometimes, just create that, situation of hardship sometimes so that they know that, nothing easy. Nothing good comes easy, and you have to work hard to get, things that you need.
Beyond the titles, I am a deeply passionate person. I'm very passionate about everything. And beyond the titles, I am a very loving person. Beyond the titles, I just want to do good, and I want my life to mean something at the end of it, Beyond everything on the surface, I want to have made real impact. I had a dream, not an actual dream, but a dream, a vision when I was younger, and that vision hasn't changed. And sometimes I question why my path hasn't taken me there yet. But I know that at some point it's going to happen. I really want to do something in healthcare, So beyond Lolu, the CEO of a gaming company, director, in a film company, the owner of an agency, I really want to give back. And I don't mean give back in the way that I do it now, give back to the less fortunate and so on and so forth. We do that. But just something that really changes the game, And I think healthcare is one of those things that would mean a lot to me, because that's one thing that we are lacking in our community.
Simply by watching me, I hope my children learn that they should never give up. Because together we've gone through some very, very difficult times. They've seen times where I'll be working towards something, I don't get it, and then, you know, eventually maybe I'll get it or I'll get something even better. So I hope that they learn that it's important not to give up, and it's important to also be kind. You know, very recently we had an issue, you know, at home when something happened, and I was meant to pay a particular fee, which was very, very high. And the person who was going to charge me, when I was talking to him on the phone, his wife could hear in the background. And his wife was like, oh, I know her. She was in my university and she was very nice. And literally the bill that this person was going to give me was divided by 3 eventually. He was able to bring it down by 3 eventually. So something that I've been complaining to my kids about, that, oh my God, I had this, you know, bill that just came through, and literally if I didn't pay it, you know, something drastic was going to happen that was going to affect us all. So I use that as a teachable moment to them, that see, it's important for you to be kind. So, because this is somebody that I had been kind to one time in university, that eventually, it wasn't even the person I was dealing with. The person just heard my name, you know, in the background, and the person spoke to their spouse, and this person was able to bring down this cost for me. So yes, it's important for me to let them know that it's important to be kind, and they also see it in my actions, and they also try to replicate that, you know, in their everyday lives. Like literally when they come home every day, I ask them that, who were they kind to today? Just so that, you know, it's top of mind for them.
I hope my children learn kindness first and foremost. If you don't accomplish anything in life, if you don't change the world, if you don't build new systems, if you are kind, you've accomplished something. If you help others, you have accomplished what every human being was sent on earth to do. So number 1, kindness. And number 2, hard work. And I think that's a general thing in my family, you know, from my parents, you know, my husband, just my family members. Hard work and a lack of entitlement. I think that's what I want my children to learn from me. Empathy, kindness, lack of entitlement, and hard work. If you want love, work hard for it. If you want support, work hard for it. If you want good friends, be a good friend, work hard for it. If you want success, work hard for it. Whatever it is that you want in life can be yours. All you need to do is do what most people won't do, which is go the extra mile and work hard for it.
I feel like my number 1 thing would be to never give up, to go after every single thing that you've ever wanted. In my case, I don't take no for an answer. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it. I wanted to write a book, I wrote a book. I wanted to start a clothing business, I did. I wanted to be like a content creator, I do that. There's nothing that I've wanted that I haven't gone after. I mean, I try and decide that, you know what, I don't actually like this, that's fine. But you are going to try, and they're going to learn that no is never going to be an answer. You can go after every single dream. You don't have to put yourself in a box and be one thing. I don't just have to be the CEO of Ziva. I can be all of these other things. And they would watch a woman who has lived her best life and has done every single thing that she has put her mind to without any restrictions. And I hope that that would motivate them to do the same thing.
I hope that they learn that they have to make some sacrifice in life for the things that they want. So yeah, just by living every day, I hope that they learn that they have to make sacrifices, even for the things that they want. They might have to make sacrifices. And I'll give a small example. So yesterday, my son, or 2 days ago, my son had called me and said, oh, please, can one of his friends come to his house? Blah, blah, blah. He was begging. And I was like, okay, no problem, they'll come. And then his mom, my friend's sons, my friend, or the person who came to the house, the mom called me in the evening that my son didn't let him play with his PS5, that he was playing it all the time, and I was always telling him, oh, the next round, and the next round, and the next round. And when I got home, and I was like, why would you do that? You're the one that asked them to come. But when they've come now, you're not allowing them to play with your resources. When you go to their own homes or their houses, they allow you to play with whatever they're playing with. So that is not a nice thing to do. So I use that as a teachable moment. Obviously, I told him that he was grounded to use his lap from using his PS5 for 2 days so that he remembers, so that next time when somebody else comes to the house, they are actually kind to the person. They know that if they ask for food, they're not going to eat first. If food is brought to them, they need to give it to the guests first. So I try to at least use everything as a teachable moment for them to learn.
I would say the end result, because at that stage, you would be able to see what I built, and you'll be able to stand there and be like, this makes so much sense. This is what she sacrificed for. This is what, it will be so big that it's like a no-brainer. I don't know if that makes sense, but just by seeing what I would have accomplished by that time, it would be very clear why I had to, sacrifice what I had to sacrifice.
I just hope that they know that, it goes without saying, I love them so deeply, and there is nobody, not a soul, not a thing, not a mission, not a vision that is more important than them and their destiny. That is my foremost ambition in life, is to, God has put these destinies in my hand, and no matter the stumbling block, no matter the challenges, no matter the roadblocks, no matter what, my goal is to safeguard their souls, really safeguard their lives, their destinies, essentially. So yeah, I would want them to know that they are the most important people on earth.
I want my children to describe me as somebody who lived an impactful life. Yes, I want them to speak of me like that, yeah. As someone who they learned from, someone who was entrepreneurial, somebody who was inspiring to them. Yeah, I hope they can describe me as that.
I hope they would say, my mother did so much for so many people. My mother changed the way state hospitals were in Nigeria. At some point, they didn't have these sort of machines and these sort of things, and she raised money and, boosted, the state hospitals in Nigeria. I would hope they say that. I would hope they say my mother was fierce. She was a lion. She was a fighter. She was wild. I would hope that too, to be honest. And I would hope that they say my mother was love, Not that my mother was loving, that my mother is love.
Honestly, happy. That's it, because I feel like a lot of people lose themselves in motherhood. Not saying, that, I don't know, I'm trying to be politically correct. But I would definitely say happy, because I want them to see someone who did everything they wanted to do, not what society expected, not what, people expected, but what I wanted for myself. So that will hopefully motivate you to do what you want for yourself. And just seeing a woman who never gave up and was happy with what she did and what she accomplished, I feel like that would be enough for me.
So are you truly happy?
Wow, so happy. It's actually unbelievable. Yes, I feel very fulfilled. I'm very grateful. I'm in a great place in my life. I have amazing kids. I have an amazing business. Like, what else could you want? Do you get what I mean? God is good.